What's good? It's Woog. We are previewing the Grammys. We are going through the categories. We are predicting winners, picking our winners. We are going through some of the history of some of the categories. And now we are entering the major four categories. The major four categories, by the way, are Record of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, and this category right here, Best New Artist. And unlike any other major category, this is the category where each artist who's nominated basically has one shot at winning this one. You don't have multi-nominations for any artist. You get one chance at Best New Artist. And if you look at the history of the category, you see that in a lot of cases they get it right. They have a lot of Best New Artists that went on to have brilliant careers, like Mariah Carey won it in 1991, Toni Braxton in 94, LeAnn Rimes in 97, and in the 80s when New Wave took over, you had Men at Work and Culture Club winning in 1983 and 84 respectively, and you know those two groups really kind of signify the taste of the era. Although Country Club beating Eurythmics in 84, that's a tough one. Bette Midler won in 74. Believe it or not, Crosby, Stills, and Nash in 1970, they won over Led Zeppelin and Chicago. Crosby, Stills, and Nash beat out Led Zeppelin and Chicago in 1970. The first winner of this award was handed out in 1960, and that was Bobby Darin, who won that year. 4 years later, the Beatles beat out Astrid Gilberto and Antonio Carlos Jobim. And, you know, this was the same year that Gets Gilberto actually won Album of the Year for that, you know, Gets Gilberto album with the girl from Ipanema. Well, Best New Artist that year went to the Beatles, and this was coming off of them making Hard Day's Night and Help. And later on this same year in 65 is when they dropped their groundbreaking Rubber Soul album, which was kind of a turning point in the band's career. Not that they were like dwindling or anything, but they basically went from being, you know, the biggest hit makers with several #1 records to, you know, kind of a psychedelic, more experimental band that started to then release some of their most widely critically acclaimed albums and some of their most iconic albums of all time. Like 2 years later, they dropped Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The year before, 67 and 66 is when they dropped Revolver. But that whole turn in their career pretty much started, if not with Help in 64, then certainly with Rubber Soul in 65. So yeah, the Beatles actually won Best New Artist in 65. And then the following year, Tom Jones won it. Most recently, Megan Thee Stallion, she's the current winner of the award. She beat out Doja Cat and Phoebe Bridgers and more. And, you know, sometimes with this award, it's an easy call. And other times they're like, you know, 2 or 3 artists that can win it. And it's very competitive. It's pretty much anybody's guess. Like in the year where Green Day, you know, was nominated for this award. It was Green Day, Ace of Base, and Counting Crows were both also hot that year. Crash Test Dummies were nominated that year, but the winner was Sheryl Crow. So Sheryl Crow beat out Green Day, even though Green Day is one of the biggest bands of the past 30 or so years. You know what I mean? Hootie and the Blowfish beat out Brandy, Alanis Morissette, Joan Osborne, and Shania Twain the following year in 96. Milli Vanilli won the award in 1990 when they had that smash album with Girl You Know It's True and Blame It on the Rain, but they actually had their award stripped when it was revealed that they weren't singing their own songs. That was a huge scandal at the time. Toni Braxton, as I mentioned, won it in 94, and she beat out Diggable Planets, that's I'm Cool Like That. I'm Cool Like That, SWV, and, you know, Blind Melon, which was a huge alternative breakthrough band at the time. So Blind Melon, you know, they had the song in 92 called No Rain, and a very successful self-titled album, but then their lead singer, Shannon Hoon, tragically died at the age of 28 due to a cocaine overdose right around the time of their second album, again in 95. And the band Blind Melon, you know, they continue with new members, but they never recaptured what they had gained with lead singer Shannon Hoon around that time, 1992. Very tragic. But yeah, Blind Melon was nominated for Best New Artist in 94, lost out like Diggable Planets and Us SWV along with Belly to Tony Braxton. So, sometimes they get it right with the picks, and then other times, like in 1998, Paula Cole beat out Fiona Apple, Erykah Badu, Hanson, who had a mega year, and Puff Daddy. Paula Cole won it that year. And then the next year, Lauryn Hill just had the monstrous breakthrough, and she won it over Backstreet Boys, Andrea Bocelli, Dixie Chicks, and Natalie Imbruglia. Very packed year that year. But again, sometimes it seems like a slam dunk and a foregone conclusion on who should win the award. Like last year when Megan Thee Stallion won, I felt like it was a no-brainer. Megan Thee Stallion had to win. Although 1 year later, you could argue that Doja Cat is as big as Megan Thee Stallion in stature, right? And Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher album was great, but it was really a two-person race. Or that year, a one-person race, but if they had to redo it, it might be a two-person race because of how much Doja Cat's profile has grown over the past year to 2 years. The year before that, Billie Eilish won, but this was another one of those kind of tough ones to call because you had Lizzo breaking out with her album. You had Rosalia, but I knew Rosalia wasn't going to win, even though she got a lot of acclaim with her album. But Lil Nas X had his breakthrough year, but Billie Eilish ended up winning. And then the year before that, now we're talking 2019, Dua Lipa won over like her, Chloe and Haley, Luke Combs, Greta Van Fleet. And then the year before that, Alessia Cara won over SZA, Julia Michaels, Lil Uzi Vert, and Khalid. Now let's get into this year's nominees. Now, when this award or category started, there were only 5 nominees. And so that was from basically 1960 all the way up to 2019. 2019, they expanded it to 8 categories. And then this year, they've expanded the field once again to include 10 nominees. So we've got 10 nominees for Best New Artist this year. But I think that this one is pretty much a slam dunk. To me, this year, there's only one right answer. And I'll get to that. But the nominees this year are Arooj Aftab, Jimmie Allen, Baby Keem, Finneas, Glass Animals, Japanese Breakfast, the Kid Laroi, Arlo Parks, Olivia Rodrigo, and Saweetie. And, all of these artists have done interesting things, like Arooj Aftab. She's kind of like an ambient, kind of low-key. Like, listen to her and listen to the artist Mary Lattimore. They sound very similar, just a very laid back, just kind of serene, and just a beautiful tone in terms of the instrumentation. But it's music that you could work to. It kind of can blend into the background. There's not a ton of vocal performance on a lot of these songs, so you could listen to it like an instrumental and still be able to think and get a lot of work done. I listen to a lot of Arooj Aftab along with Mary Lattimore and several other ambient artists. That's kind of my thing lately, and it's almost like a ambient jazz, I would call it, because it's not just like, some of Brian Eno's ambient music or some of Tim Hecker's ambient music or some of Aphex Twin's ambient music. This is a little bit more jazzy. Jimmie Allen was a breakthrough country artist. He's a black country artist, so that's always kind of a thing. It's, a little more common than, back in the days of Charlie Pride, but it's still not the norm. But it's becoming more normal, which is a good thing. So Jimmie Allen, he's had some breakthrough success, but a lot of the artists that are mentioned here and nominated, they had good success relative to their genre, but not like super crossover breakthrough success, like where they're hitting like #1 or near #1 on the charts. Jimmie Allen, again, he did some good things. Baby Keem, he had a successful single. This is Kendrick Lamar's cousin. He's from Carson. He had a really good album called the Melodic Blue. He had a good successful single that's like nominated elsewhere this year with Family Ties, featuring Kendrick Lamar. That was a pretty successful single. He was featured on Kanye West's Donda album as well. So yeah, Baby Keem, he had a good year. Finneas, he released music. He produced Billie Eilish's follow-up album. But if you look at, just the music that Finneas releases as a solo artist, It doesn't chart super well. Like his new album Optimist charted, like it peaked at 104 on the US Billboard 200. So that's not a super success, but being that he's Billie Eilish's producer, that kind of elevated his stature. Well, not kind of, it elevated his stature to where he's featured here as a Best New Artist. Now, Glass Animals is nominated here, but I can hardly consider them a new artist. And this is something that I had noticed, for a lot of different artists. Like last year, the rapper and producer D Smoke was nominated, but he had been around for a while. As had Kate Renata, been around for a few years, but they were just nominated that year. And, the way that it's defined is basically the artist could have released music in the past, but when they broke through in the public consciousness is when the Grammys or the Recording Academy would consider you to be a new artist. So Glass Animals, I remember listening to their 2014 album, Zaba. That was kind of like an experimental pop album where, we remember in 2012 when Alt J released the really good album, An Awesome Wave. I think that they won the Mercury Prize that year over other bands like Django, who was also kind of like an experimental indie band. But about like a year and a half, 2 years later, Glass Animals kind of does not that they sound like Alt J, but I get some of the same experimental vibes. I think that Glass Animals' music sounds a little bit more crossover popish, especially with their two albums after Zaba. So Zaba was 2014. How to Be a Human Being was 2016. And I remember hearing songs from Zaba and How to Be a Human Being, playing in like coffee shops and cafes and, certain places like that. So it's just interesting that because of their 2020, their third album, Dreamland, that now they're considered a new artist by the Recording Academy. But here is Glass Animals, and it's largely because they just had a breakout single. Again, they had some good music on both of those Zaba and How to Be a Human Being albums. But with Dreamland, it featured a song called Heat Waves featuring Ian Dior, which hit number 5 in the UK and number 1 in the US. So they actually had a number 1 Hot 100 song, which is, that's huge. A lot of artists Jay-Z didn't have his first number 1 Hot 100 song until his 8th album or 9th album with The Blueprint 3, when he had the song New York State of Mind with Alicia Keys. That was Jay-Z's first number 1 song. And here is Glass Animals in 2020 with Heat Waves that hit number 1. When Cardi B had that breakthrough song, Bodak Yellow, I Make Money Moves, she wasn't even nominated for Best New Artist. But if she was, she would have undoubtedly had won because that song hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. So, Glass Animals had mega success with that song, but they're not in that short list of artists that I think are in real contention to win this award. Japanese Breakfast, indie artist or indie band, is nominated here because of their third album, Jubilee. A pretty good album. They had a song from that album. It's the track 1 from the album. It's called Paprika, and it's just a beautiful melody. That's just one of those golden indie rock, indie pop melodies. Listen to Japanese Breakfast, how they kicked off this Jubilee album with Paprika. It's a really, really nice tune. That's my favorite song on the album. But, they had a song called Be Sweet that was actually more commercially successful. It didn't hit the Billboard Hot 100 at all as a single, but it hit the alternative charts. The song was called Be Sweet. Again, it hit number 7 on the alternative charts, and then they had another song called Slide Tackle that hit number 19 on the Hot 100. Their actual album, Jubilee, hit number 56 on the US Billboard 200. So, good indie band, but, if Phoebe Bridgers didn't win it last year, and Rosalia didn't win it the year before, I don't think Japanese Breakfast is going to win it this year. And then the next 4 artists nominated here are the Kid Laroi, Arlo Parks, Olivia Rodrigo, and Saweetie. The Kid Laroi has had some monstrous pop success. He collaborates with artists like Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus. He's released a #1 song with Justin Bieber called Stay, and he released a #8 song with Miley Cyrus called Without You. These were on his like F Love, F-U-C-K, Love series, F Love 1, 2, Savage, Part 3 called Over You. But yeah, he's got that sound of the era down, where it's like a mixture of rap, singing, rapping. Like he just has that down to a science. So, that formula and some of the songwriting and, melodic choruses in the Kid Laroi songs has had some of his music just rise to the tops of the charts, both on the singles charts and when he released F Love, the album, in July of 2020, that hit #1 on the US Billboard 200. So that's like crossover, mainstream, mega success. So he's one of the 2 or 3 artists I think is in real contention to win here. Arlo Parks, good indie artist. And, I like a couple, songs off of the Arlo Parks debut album called Collapse in Sunbeams. The songs that I really like from there are Black Dog and Too Good. Really nice tune, kind of like acoustic, soft indie rock, like really good artist. And I like that she is nominated this year with that Collapse in Sunbeams album. She's actually nominated in the Best Alternative Music Album category. That's one of my favorite categories. But I like that, it's been a category that mostly features like white bands and white artists, and lately white indie rock, indie pop artists. But more and more you're starting to see like Alabama Shakes, or, the lead singer from Alabama Shakes, Brittany Howard, nominated there. And this year you've got Arlo Parks, another black artist, nominated in the indie alternative category. But she's also nominated in Best New Artist. I don't think she's going to win it this year. The other 2 that I think are in real contention are Olivia Rodrigo and Saweetie. Saweetie's kind of like become a household name in the rap game. She's had some really successful singles. She's actually related to a lot of popular artists. Like she's MC Hammer's niece. She's Gabrielle Union's cousin, the producer Zaytoven's cousin. But she started making some real noise back in like 2019 with the song My Type, which hit #21 on the Hot 100. And then Tap In, Tap In, which hit #20 on the Hot 100. But in 2021, she had a song with Doja Cat called Best Friend. And this is from Saweetie's upcoming Pretty Bitch Music debut album, which is still to be released. But, she's had a lot of popular features, and, her voice is just becoming kind of, ubiquitous in the rap game. So she's almost in a way like how Megan Thee Stallion was popping up, whether it was Megan Thee Stallion's own song or a song that she was featured on. Saweetie has had similar success over the past like 3 or 4 years. So I think she's really in contention, but I think that there's a clear front runner here in this Best New Artist category, and that's Olivia Rodrigo. She had a short stint on High School Musical a few years ago, but she just dropped her album Sour. And this is after she had that huge, viral, sensational song, Driver's License. Now, as an artist, I truly, some artists will hit the scene and I'm thinking, okay, they're going to give it a good few years and then I expect them to fizzle out. I actually think that Olivia Rodrigo's the real deal. She's got the songwriting. She's got the singing ability. She's a good instrumentalist. She could play music. She knows music. She's super young. She's got the look. She's kind of the total package right now. And, it would have been one thing if she would have just have dropped Driver's License without following it up with music to accompany it on the album that's as good as that breakthrough Driver's License song. But when you listen to Sour, there are several songs on that album that I actually like more than Driver's License, like the song Traitor. To me, that's one of the best songs of that past year. The song Traitor, it's track 2 from Sour. And I just think that the songwriting's phenomenal in that song. You know, the song Good For You, it's very different from Trader, very different from Driver's License, so she's versatile as well. It's more of a straight up rocker. Deja Vu, another good song from that album. Brutal, a very good song from that album. Driver's License hit #1 on the Hot 100. It was just like this. It was probably one of the most commercially successful songs of the year. Just like, it was like 5 times platinum. It just killed it. But like Deja Vu hit #3. Good For You also hit #1. So she's got 2 different songs from this debut album, Sour, that hit #1. And the album Sour, by the way, also hit #1 like in all the countries: New Zealand, the UK, Australia, Canada, Denmark, Ireland, the US. It hit #1 in all those countries. Again, she has 2 #1 singles: Driver's License, the viral sensation, and Good For You. And then she's got several other good songs, very good songs from the album that also charted very well. Deja Vu #3, Trader hit #9, and Brutal hit #12, all on the Hot 100. So to me, the right answer here is Olivia Rodrigo. I know Saweetie is, killing it in the game. I know Japanese Breakfast is a very good indie artist. I know, Jimmie Allen is doing his thing on the country scene. Baby Keem is, dropped a very good album. Like, The Melodic Blue is a really good rap album. He might be debuting here, but he's showing versatility. He's showing a lot of depth as an artist. It's not like just, a one-trick pony who's able to kind of pull off either great lyrics or pop songs. Like, he's a very deep artist who's conceptually tight on this album. Baby Keem. Finneas obviously did what he did with Billie Eilish and releases his own music. Glass Animals killed it with Heat Waves. Very interesting indie sound, kind of experimental, folky, poppy. They got a lot of things going for themselves as a band. The Kid Laroi, the collabs with Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber, the success of his album and some of his singles, the fact that he kind of like has the sound of today, it works. And Kid Laroi, he might go on to kill it for another few years or so. We'll see. Arlo Parks, good indie artist. Arooj Aftab, again, I listen to Arooj Aftab maybe more than I personally listen to any other artist from this Best New Artist list. But the right answer here is Olivia Rodrigo. She basically hit the triple crown this year. She had the successful singles. She had the versatility on the album, the success of the album. She just was clicking on all cylinders. And I'm surprised that an artist this young was able to pull off an album this good. And yeah, she's just everything that you would want in a new artist, with the versatility, with the rock, with the pop, with the folky style, the songwriting, the concept of the album is clearly like a breakup style album, but she addresses the breakup in several different ways. Super clever. And if she is not voted the winner here, I'd be pretty surprised. Like, I would be surprised if Olivia Rodrigo doesn't win this one. I think that she thoroughly deserves it. But yeah, let me know what you think of this category. What do you think of the nominees? Who do you think should win? And who do you think will win this award? Please let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.